Hello and welcome to the Mainly Eminem podcast in association with ePro. On today's show, we'll be discussing the new track from Juice WRLD and Eminem. We'll also be diving into the Fortnite review. 6 years on since Revival, and Eminem surpasses Elton John in the top-selling artist list. As well as that, we will be giving you information on our next competition. Joining me, as usual, we have Blake and Ross. Guys, how are you today?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Thank you. You?
I'm not bad. A little bit of the cold, and I think Blake has too as well. So we'll make it a quick one. So yeah, guys,
We're surviving
just. So I think possibly maybe about a week ago there was a picture that posted on Twitter, and it was a single cover that said Eminem, Juice WRLD, and Benny Blanco. Did you guys see this last week?
No, that is completely. Yesterday, and the song releasing was the first I ever heard of it. I didn't know there was any more Eminem, Juice WRLD stuff to come, to be fair.
Yeah, so I don't follow that many people, but you know yourself, you get, the algorithm with the timeline, you end up seeing a lot of sort of different Eminem-related posts. So I think it was just after we'd done the last show, and I was just scrolling through Twitter, and there was a picture of what is now the single album artwork. And I was like, right, okay, so I sort of knew a little bit that there was a chance of this track, a track coming out for it. So it wasn't until, if I'm right in saying, Friday, that it was Juice WRLD's manager that posted it on Instagram.
Yeah, which is very random that it's not even been acknowledged by anybody else at all. And it's very odd to release it after a Friday too.
It is. So yeah, the track is called Lace It. It is Juice WRLD featuring Eminem, produced by Benny Blanco. The track is 3 minutes and 37 seconds long, and it is the first single from Juice's fifth album. Although it's his fifth studio album, it's his third posthumous album. The album is due out next year, and it's called The Party Never Ends. This is the second collaboration from the pair after Godzilla, which appeared on Music to Be Murdered By. So guys, what did you make of the track? Ross, what did you make of Em's verse in particular?
I really enjoyed it. I think it's probably the best Eminem verse we've had for a long time, and I think probably the best feature I've heard for a long time. When we first heard that Juice WRLD and Eminem were going to collaborate, this was kind of the sound I imagined, more so than Godzilla. I didn't really anticipate that Eminem would do the whole fast rap. I'm not obviously slating the song. I really enjoy Godzilla, but this is more of what I would have anticipated from an Eminem and Juice WRLD collaboration. The beat's really good. Juice's flow sounds really nice. There's maybe a couple of issues with the mixing, but I think that's probably due to the fact that he's not actually around to correct any vocals. They just got to work with what they've got.
Yeah, so I mean, it's, as I said, it's brilliant to actually see another track between the two, because you thought that there might have not been that much material, but there clearly is. Blake, what would you make of the song, and why do you think it was released on a Saturday?
Well, I was actually discussing this with Ross, so I'm not sure if I'm 100% accurate when saying this, but I'm sure in America that particular Saturday is somewhere in America, like they dedicate that whole day to Juice WRLD in his memory, just like how they have like a Tupac day, stuff like that.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's December 16th.
Yeah, so obviously, fans around the world gather around, stream the music, celebrate the life that he lived and stuff like that. Because how I heard about it was just before the actual song was released, above the UFC 296 banner on the big screen in the arena last night, they actually had a tribute video for Juice WRLD, and then in between fights they also played Juice WRLD music. So I presume basically everything just sort of lined up perfectly with that Saturday, so they just went, we'll just release it on this Saturday then.
Yeah, just to sort of coincide with everything. That does make more sense, because I thought that Juice WRLD's manager obviously put it on Instagram on Friday, and then he deleted the post, and then I was thinking, have they made a bit of an arse with revealing this too soon? And then because there was so many people talking about it online, they just sort of went, right, okay, let's just release it now. But that does make a lot more sense, to be fair, if it was a sort of day dedicated to him. Also, 24 hours it's been out, and Eminem and his team haven't really acknowledged it as much. Rossi, a little bit surprised about that?
No, I'm not really surprised they haven't acknowledged it at all. I don't know, I think this is kind of one of those occasions where Eminem's done... Well, Juice WRLD did a feature for Eminem's album, for Music to Be Murdered By, and he's returned the favour. I do really like the sort of sound of the album, but it would have been nice to see him acknowledge it. maybe put it up on his Instagram, put up a post, even with a couple of sentences saying like, "Oh, R.I.P. Juice WRLD" or something. But no, nothing really, which is just, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a silent just now, but as we said, it's been 24 hours. By the time this episode's out, then hopefully that they would have acknowledged it by then, because I believe it is doing quite well on Spotify. It's been added to the Rap Caviar playlist as well, which is one of the biggest playlists. I think 15 million people have that downloaded, so that's new ears getting to that as well, which will be interesting to see. What do you think in terms of a high debut on Billboard? Do you guys think that it could possibly, debut at a reasonable level?
Potentially. Juice WRLD, I mean, I think he's got quite a dedicated fan base, and I think probably quite a few people are anticipating his next album. So I'd like to think that it could debut quite well, but you just don't really know anymore. I don't really understand how the debut sort of numbers work, what's good, what's not anymore with streams, because it's very different to how album sales used to work. So, yeah, we just have to wait and see. I'd like to see it for both Eminem and Juice WRLD, but who knows?
To be fair, it wouldn't surprise me either because, like every time Juice WRLD and Benny Blanco, obviously when Juice WRLD was still with us, the actual music that they produced and recorded together is always done well.
Yeah.
So obviously, without Eminem's name being on there, with Eminem's name being on it would have charted fairly decently anyway. So I can't see why he can't do a top 10.
Yeah, I think he's got Juice WRLD's sort of team. They are pretty on the ball with everything, sort of marketing wise. So they have been plugging it quite a lot of the playlists as well. So yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if it was a sort of high charter. In terms of the UK charts, Eminem did get the Christmas #1 in 2017 with River featuring Ed Sheeran. What are the chances that it could potentially be up there anyway on next Friday?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's not very. I don't know. I think the reason it did so well with it in 2017 was because Ed Sheeran was a British or English feature, wasn't he? I think his album did quite well. Shortly after or shortly before, I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see it, but I don't think he'll go #1 this year.
Yeah, it's doing not too bad so far. 24 hours since it's out, it's already at number 10 on the USA iTunes charts, and it is debuting sort of all over the world inside the top sort of 50-60 places as well. So that'll be good to see. Hopefully get a sort of strong chart position. We'll see that in hopefully the next couple of weeks or so. Right guys, want to discuss the Fortnite aftermath. Now on our last show we were talking about, we were looking forward to the Fortnite Eminem collaboration with the concert, but yeah, it was short. A lot of people would say short but sweet, but it was only really 2 tracks and it was about 7 or 8 minutes long. Ross, was it long enough?
Well, I think and probably amongst many others, because I saw from the leak that they said Eminem is getting a Fortnite concert, and then they said Eminem is coming to concert in Fortnite. I think they took that more literally in the sense that he was on a stage in his animation thing, not like Travis Scott and Ariana Grande's and that, where they had like a 15-minute animation dedicated to Eminem. I also was a bit disappointed in the sense that he went for Lose Yourself and Godzilla, but again, he's got to go with what people know. Godzilla's now climbing up there. The streams are obviously rapidly climbing and continue to do so. So yeah, I wish it could have been something else or more than it was, but it was good. And I think I'm probably only being picky because I'm an Eminem fan, but from what I've seen on Instagram and YouTube and stuff, streamers that don't really necessarily listen to his music were all really impressed with it, said it was really cool, really current. So yeah, I think overall it's pretty good, but yeah, I just wish it was a bit more. Yeah,
I think the streams for Eminem on Apple, Spotify, etc. was pretty strong after the show as well. So it's obviously got a new generation of fans maybe interested in some of his music as well, which is probably as good from a sort of marketing aspect. But yeah, the sort of diehards were a little bit disappointed and sort of wanted it to be a wee bit longer. Blake, what other tracks would you have liked to see them perform?
Well, the issue is, even the safe tracks, which, Godzilla and Lose Yourself, they still censored out a lot of stuff, which even on the clean version of a track isn't censored out. I get it.
Word kill.
Realistically, it's a children's game. I do get it, but
yeah.
I don't really think they really could have picked anything else. The only song they could have picked, and that's purely off the top of my head because it's got no swearing in it, is that guest verse he did with Kanye West. And that's purely because that's got no swearing, no nothing in it. But the issue is, that's not a popular song, so I think anything they chose, they would have had a loss with it.
I think, but doesn't Love the Way You Lie gets radio play quite a lot because they only have to censor the one F-bomb at the end, don't they? Where he talks about tying her to the bed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that would have been quite good. A lot of people that would have been playing it or watching streamers play it anyway that are probably our age would have known Love the Way You Lie and been pretty impressed to see that. But obviously it's just he has to go with what he knows, doesn't he? And what's current at the moment, and Lose Yourself is kind of timeless. And it looks like Godzilla's getting that way as well. A lot of people are really enjoying that.
Yeah, it's probably arguably his biggest hit since 2020. You know, it was one of the lead singles from the album. But yeah, it's been doing really well over the last couple of years. It's been on a lot of playlists. But yeah, from a sort of own selfish sort of way, I would have liked to have seen, you know, obviously I understand it's a children's game and that, but could have maybe put another song from Music to Be Murdered By, because he's not even played any tracks from that live because of COVID and all the sort of lockdowns. So it's like, it's a bizarre sort of his album. Like, no one's really seen many live performances of the tracks from it. But to be fair, it was decent enough. It was good exposure for him, as I said, gets more.
Yeah, exactly.
More listeners involved as well, and possibly some new fans. So it was good enough. Right, guys, Revival is now 6 years old. Released in December of 2017, and yeah, I think there's a lot of opinions about this album. You know, all three of us have probably got our own individual sort of review on the album as such. Blake, do you think like the album is overhated?
Well, to be fair, I'm fairly confident I've said that since day one. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a perfect album, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and say I hate it because everyone else on Twitter or YouTube reviewers said that the track list was arse and shit. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it's not a good album, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the end of the day, put the politics aside, just put the other controversies with the album to one side, no matter how you really feel about it. You've got to appreciate the music for what it is. The guest features weren't even that bad. Ed Sheeran hasn't even done a bad song with Eminem. Kalani was good. Do you know what I mean? Like, even the Walk on Water track, don't get me wrong, it's not brilliant, but worst track that he's ever done? I don't think so. Come on, behave.
Because it was definitely different from what he usually does. But no, I don't mind that song actually. It is pretty decent enough. I think as the years have progressed a wee bit more, I've learned to sort of like a few more tracks on the album than when it came out. I wasn't a fan sort of whatsoever. You know, you had your Castle and a Rose, etc., but it was hard to sort of get into a lot of the tracks. Ross, what's your opinion on the album 6 years on?
I mean, I always say that there's two sort of pretty big stereotypes of Eminem fans, and I think the one reason that people sort of hate on it is because there's a difference between calling yourself a hip-hop fan and calling yourself an Eminem fan. And a lot of people think because they like Eminem's music, that makes them a fan of hip-hop. And a lot of people wouldn't really understand that a lot of the samples and stuff that were used on Revival, you know, it's been done before, but done before by other artists. Like Dr. Dre even used similar samples, like back in the day. I just think people lost their mind a little bit when they saw the set list, or the track list, sorry. I do think, for me, personally, it does lack a certain sort of energy that I kind of want when I'm listening to his music. If you kind of go back and listen to the Marshall Mathers LP2 and then come back to this, it's like a complete look in the mirror, sort of complete reflection, you know, of what everything he was trying to say he was doing on the Marshall Mathers LP2. So it's a bit odd, but I still think it holds quite a lot of weight in his discography. You know, everyone says it flopped, but isn't it like, they've all got millions on Spotify. I think I saw one of their streams earlier. Even like Rivers on 799 million. So it can't be that bad, can it? If people are going back and listening to
people are still listening to it. No, definitely.
Yeah, even Remind Me is on 79 million. Remind Me, people like slated that when it first dropped.
Yeah, I'm still not huge on that song. And the thing that annoyed me more was Remind Me. No, is that Remind Me that had the intro before it?
Yeah, that's the one.
So the intro sounds so different to then when it goes on to that track, because I was expecting some sort of gospel Dr. Dre production type shit, and then when that wee sort of intro ended and it went on to I was like, what is going on here? Like, I think the issue I had with it was that he'd done the rock production with Rick Rubin on Marshall Mathers LP2, and it was really, really, really well done. And I thought, it's good to sort of experiment with that, but that is it. But then he brought it back with Revival, and then he still had, no offence to Skylar Grey, but she's collaborated with Eminem about 16, 17 times before then. And I think when people just seen the track list, and you can sort of understand, you're like, Pink, like you can sort of understand, and that people just took it as a negative from the offset. But saying that, I'll be honest, it's not an album that I go back to. There is good tracks on the album, like Believe, Castle Rose, but it's not something that I have on any playlist, so it's not an album that I sort of go back and look into. It's just the way it is. But his last two albums have been obviously fantastic, so there's no sort of gripes on that. What would your top 3 songs, Blake, if you were to have a sort of top 3 from the album?
I would probably say Believe, just because that is one of the best tracks off the album. I quite like his storytelling tracks, and not the apology tracks he does, but I quite like Bad Husband. I just think it actually gives you an insight on, how he's feeling. He recognises he's made mistakes, obviously, basically saying not everyone's perfect and stuff like that, but the things are done, let's make amends type thing. So I've got a lot of time for that one. And then I'd probably say Framed, just because
that is a good track.
A really fun track to listen to.
Relapse vibes right there as well, isn't it? Ross, what about yourself?
I think it's very hard for me to pick sort of a top 3 because there's only 4 I really go back and listen to, and 2 of them you have to listen to one after the other because they kind of play into one. So obviously you've got Castle and the Rose, and then Framed and Believe, like Blake said. But I think what was really annoying for me when I remember first listening to Revival, first listen, I went through it and I got to obviously track 12, and I remember hearing Framed going, okay, hang on a minute. There's still some very, 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 very big potential left with this album. And then it goes into Nowhere Fast, which is funny because I know everyone says they don't necessarily like Skylar Grey or the Kalani features or the Pink features. If I'm going to pick any of the pop features off this album, the one I'm going to go and listen to is Need Me with Pink. I actually really enjoy that much more than their other feature on Recovery. I don't know, it's a different sound, and it's that storytelling that Eminem's known for, and Pink's voice just sounds really good.
Would you say that it's more, like, I think Pink's on the track more than what M is? When I first heard it, I thought, nah, this was meant to be for Pink's album.
Maybe. I think as well, when you look at the lyrics, if you go and look at the lyrics for the actual song, Pink doesn't actually sing all that much in a very long space of time. It's just because she's obviously singing as opposed to Eminem, who's fitting as many bars in as he can. But I do get what you mean. It does sound like it wasn't made for Revival, but I personally really enjoy it, and I think it breaks it up a little bit. Yeah, so we will dive into the album, maybe next year or so when we can do a sort of anniversary for maybe for its 7th or 8th. We can do a sort of track by track review and give our sort of honest opinions again on it and see if it's aged maybe even better over the next couple of years. So stay tuned for that in the future. In terms of other Eminem-related news, he is now the 9th best-selling artist of all time. He's just surpassed Elton John there, so he is currently on, I believe it's 209, roughly. 209.3 million album sales worldwide. So in the way after that is Frank Sinatra, who's at number 8, but to be fair, Sinatra is a good 29 million units ahead of him, so I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But the rest of the top 10, so 10 Elton John, Eminem's 9, Sinatra 8, Pink Floyd 7, the Rolling Stones at 6, Madonna at 5, Queen 4, Elvis Presley 3, number 2 is Michael Jackson, and number 1 is the Beatles. So yeah, it's a pretty impressive list to be incorporated anyway. Also, the merchandise, we're sort of briefly speaking about Eminem's merchandise recently with some of the the shipping issues and stuff like that. But I believe the Kamikaze figurines have been shipped. So if any of you have ordered them, then you probably will get them in the next couple of weeks or so. Blake, me and you have ordered one, but it's probably going to be just with Christmas coming up. Probably won't get it for Christmas, will we?
Nah, to be fair, I'm not holding much hope out. I'm expecting mine around March time, to be fair, mate, just because, in theory, it shouldn't take long to get here. But they've already delayed it 2 to 3 times, and then, they've also got the other, so you've had the Fortnite stuff that's coming through the warehouses and stuff like that, so I understand they've only just started shipping out the kamikaze stuff, but you've got to imagine that's going to delay stuff even still. So, I don't really hold much hope out.
He does love a merch capsule drop, doesn't he? I think someone put it on Twitter. Like, since Music to Be Murdered By came out, it's something like, I can't remember the exact number, but it was about 32 merch releases. Is that right in saying? That's ridiculous.
I thought it was more than that. I thought I saw it close as like 42, 44.
You might be right, actually.
I think it was close to 44.
Yeah, 42. It's been roughly. So that's insane.
When was the last album? What, 20? The end of 2020, wasn't it? 3 years ago.
Yeah, December 2020. So
Jesus.
it's been like, they're making a lot of money. I'll say that for them, because they're all selling out and they're going on to eBay. But yeah, what do you reckon for next year, guys? Do you think there will be an album of some sort, or do you think it's going to be another silent year?
God, honestly, who actually knows anymore? Like, what is, like, honestly, the state of, I don't even understand anymore. It's been so long. This, like, again, this whole Juice WRLD feature where it just comes out of absolutely nowhere. Just say something. We know you use your phone. I've seen it. Honestly.
It's like, it's crazy because since we've started this podcast, he's not released an album. And like, I know we've only been doing this for maybe 18 months or so, but like, you know, we don't want to run out of content straight away. We're just reviewing a lot of sort of older stuff as well. So
he's done this despite us. That's what he's done.
Yeah, he's listened to us and he's like, nah, you guys can wait even longer. But no, it is good to see Lace It dropped. It is available everywhere. So yeah, get streaming it. Hopefully it'll do well in the charts. And yeah, here's hoping for some more music in 2024. To
be fair, in fairness, I want apologies from everyone. So at the start of the year and even back end of last year,
right?
Everyone, including you both.
I know this is going.
I see where this is going.
And I said no, because he's got a lot going on. He's probably trying to enjoy life, and every single person laughed at me. I want apologies off all of you.
There's still 20 days left. There's still 20 odd days left.
I know. So yeah, here's hoping something happens soon enough. But we've been blessed with Lace It for now anyway. Just before we go, we've got a competition on our Twitter page on Thursday. So we're going to give away 4 months of Spotify and a couple of Eminem CDs as well. So anyone that follows us, get on the page and you'll get more information. So thanks for everyone that has joined us on the show. We are back very soon. We'll be back with the review 2023 before the end of the year. So stay tuned for that. Once again, as always, if you like the show, just make sure you're subscribing on your chosen platform. And as soon as another episode gets released, you'll be notified. So thanks to the guys for joining us today. Lace It is now available on all streaming. So get downloading, buy them on iTunes. Hopefully they might have a good bit of success in the charts. So thanks everyone, and we shall see you again soon.